mechanisms like the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act, protect SROs, regulate condo conversion, work with community land trusts, tenant protections. We want to protect tenants from displacement with just cause for eviction, anti-harassment ordinances, and rent stabilization. So that's what the 3 Ps are, and what we believe is that housing is a human right. Housing justice intersects with racial, economic, disability, and social justice. That knowledge is a path to justice. That's why we do events like our Lunch and Learns, and why we have our Leadership Academy. We believe that collective action builds power, and that more voices and more representation leads to better outcomes. And our strength is in our membership. So we are a membership organization. We're over 400 organizations and individuals strong. We're currently in our membership drive. So please, if you haven't already, join us. Our membership starts pretty affordable, and we really hope that that you all would join us in this fight. Just a quick slide about our funding partners. These are who some of our funding partners are. Want to thank them. And now, without sort of further ado, I want to introduce our speakers today. My name is Angelina Cornejo. I am the Senior Campaign Strategy Associate here at EBHO, and I'm really happy that I'm joined here with Carmen Murray and Bonnie Hamlin, who are both volunteers with the League of Women Voters of Oakland Speakers Bureau. Before each election, the League puts out a call for people who would like to be trained to do pros and cons presentations of measures or propositions that will be on the ballot. Community groups contact the League, like us, requesting speakers for a particular date and time. The members of the Bureau then sign up for those times and work for them. In addition to being a speaker, Carmen has volunteered with the League's Youth Decide program, partnering with local public and private high schools and community colleges to engage youth in civic education, voter registration, and getting out the vote. Bonnie is a longtime volunteer with the League's online voter education websites, which include smartvoter.org, votersedge.org, and now vote411.org, in addition to being a League speaker. So we're really happy that they're here, and they will be doing the bulk of the presentation about Proposition 50. As a reminder, we're a 501c3 organization, which means that we do not endorse candidates or partisan ballot measures that are outside of like our housing scope. So EBHO does not have a position on Proposition 50, but we wanted to make sure that you all had the information to be equipped to vote on this. And so so it's really important for us to maintain this impartial analysis of this. So I'm really happy to partner with the League of Women Voters here. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Carmen and Bonnie, and I will stop sharing.
My name is Carmen Murray. Bonnie and I thank you for inviting the League to make this presentation on November 2025 special election ballot. The League of Women Voters is a grassroots, nonpartisan membership organization open to all, not just women. Nonpartisan means we never support or oppose political parties or candidates. Next.
So the League wears 2 hats. That is, it engages in 2 types of activities. And when we do voter service and education, we work to present full information and the arguments on all sides of an issue. The League also does action or advocacy, where we take positions and may advocate for or against legislation or ballot measures. We try to keep the 2 roles separate. And we're here today doing voter education. The League has taken no position on the proposition, neither for nor against, and so we'll show the arguments both for and against Proposition 50.
It's okay to want and seek more information. Vote for what is clear and important to you. Voting is not a test. Next.
So when we evaluate or talk about measures, we ask ourselves several questions. So what does the measure do? And why is somebody suggesting that that be done? What does it cost? How will it be paid for? Is it well written, or will it cause more problems than it solves? Who is really behind it? Follow the money. Which side do you agree with? Do you support it or do you oppose it?
So why are we here in a year that is typically not an election year? A special election has been called by the governor and the legislature to vote on the proposed amendment to our Constitution. This proposal has been placed on the ballot as Proposition 50. A proposition passes and becomes a law if it receives more than 50% yes votes. State ballot propositions can make new laws, change existing laws, or amend the California Constitution.
So if Proposition 50 gets enough votes to pass, the California State Constitution will be amended to replace the congressional district maps that were drawn by the Citizens Redistricting Commission with new maps that were drawn by the California State Legislature.
What are congressional districts? They are a grouping of residents of a state who vote to select someone to represent their interests in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. There are 435 districts. 52 of those 435 represent California voters, 12% of the total.
Who draws the congressional lines? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, so prior to 2008, the legislatures, the California Assembly members and the California senators drew the maps, or the court did if the legislature failed to carry out this duty properly. In 2008, voters approved the Voters First, We Draw the Lines Prop 11, which established a nonpartisan commission to draw the maps for state senate, state assembly, and the Board of Equalization. In 2010, Proposition 20 was approved, adding that the commission would draw the federal congressional district maps as well. Some little background information. Debates over redistricting efforts occur against a backdrop of 100 years of redistricting-related ballot measures in California, with the topic appearing on the ballot at least 20 times since 1926. The current process, involving a non-politician commission, was established through ballot measures in 2008 and 2010, as we've mentioned, following the defeat of a related proposal in 2005. So in 2008, California Common Cause proposed Proposition 11, which transferred the state legislative redistricting from the legislatures to a 14-member California Citizens Redistricting Commission. Proposition 11 was approved with 50.8% of the vote. Proposition 11 didn't address who would do the congressional redistricting. So in 2010, Charles Munger Jr., a physicist and political donor, filed Proposition 20, which transferred congressional redistricting from the legislature to the California Citizens Redistricting Commission. Voters approved Prop 20 with 61.2% of the vote. Next.
Since 2010, the California Citizens Redistricting Commission has conducted congressional redistricting twice, in 2011 and in 2021. The 14-member commission is made up of 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats, and 4 not affiliated with either of these two parties. The selection process is designed to produce a commission that is independent from legislative influence and reasonably representative of the state's diversity. The commission is not allowed to draw districts that favor a candidate or a political party, and it must listen to and use public input from communities about which neighborhoods should be kept together. What are the rules? Districts must be of nearly equal population to comply with the U.S. Constitution. Districts must comply with the Voting Rights Act to ensure that minorities have a fair opportunity to elect representatives of their choice. Districts must be drawn contiguously so that all parts of the district are connected to each other. Districts must minimize the division of the cities, counties, neighborhoods, and communities of interest to the extent possible. Districts should be geographically compact such that nearby areas of population are not bypassed for more distant populations. This requirement refers to density and not shape. Where practicable, each state district should be comprised of 2 complete and adjacent assembly districts. Board of Equalization districts should be comprised of 10 complete and adjacent state districts. How the commissioners are chosen is very dense, and if anyone wants to ask more about that in the question and answers, we can take that at the end of the show.
So how do other states draw congressional district maps? In most states, the state legislatures do draw the maps for both state, legislative, and congressional districts, with or without the help of advisory committees. The remaining states, Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Idaho, Michigan, Montana, New York, and Washington, all draw both state and federal districts using an independent commission, with regulations limiting direct participation by elected officials. Alaska, by the way, currently has only 1 congressional representative and thus does not need to draw congressional lines. Members of these commissions are neither legislators nor public officials, and each state other than Colorado and New York also bans commissioners for running for office in the districts that they've drawn, at least for a few years after the commission finishes its work. Note that there are some of the states further limit commission members linked to the legislature. So for example, Arizona, California, Colorado, Michigan, and New York also bar legislative staff from serving on the commission. Also, California, Colorado, Idaho, Michigan, and New York, and Washington bar lobbyists from serving on the commission. New York and Washington allow the legislature to override their independent commissions with a supermajority, though statutes limit the extent of the modification. Next.
When are the lines drawn? Every 10 years after the U.S. Census is completed, states draw new congressional district maps to reflect their number of House representatives and rebalance the numbers of people in each district so that the districts have roughly equivalent populations. This process is called redistricting. Each state decides what process to use to draw its new district maps. When drawing new maps, each state must follow federal laws. For example, each congressional district in the state must represent about the same number of people. States typically only draw congressional district maps every 10 years unless a court orders the changes to comply with the law. Next.
So let's get back to sort of the issue that this whole talk is all about, Proposition 50. So because of developments that are happening in Texas and other states, our legislature and governor have passed legislation to enact new district lines. But this requires voter approval because a constitutional amendment is required in order for the new maps to be enacted. Here's some background and context to this action before we get into the details of the actual proposition. Although states must by law redistrict every 10 years after each census, there isn't any legal impediment to a state redrawing districts in the middle of the decade. It is unusual, however, for states to do that. Typically, states redraw lines only when a court orders it to correct lines that violate election laws, such as those violating the terms of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, or in a situation where gerrymandering is explicitly done to discriminate along racial lines. In addition to the actions taken in Texas, several other states have redistricted or are considering mid-decade redistricting, including Utah, which endorsed an altered congressional map in response to a court order just recently, and Missouri, where the legislature has already approved the maps and the bill has been signed by the governor. And then Florida, Nebraska, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Maryland, which are open to and intend to redraw districts. And New York would like to do it, but it won't be in time for the 2026 election and would require voter approval. A few other states' maps are being challenged and may be required to draw new maps. That is Georgia and Louisiana. Anybody who's following what's going on in the state in the Supreme Court right now knows what's going on in Louisiana about gerrymandering. Next.
Okay. California's responses to
No, the next one.
oh, I'm sorry, Bonnie.
That's all right.
What will Prop 50 do? It would change the California Constitution to allow new maps approved by the state legislature in AB 604 to take effect and replace the maps drawn by the Citizens Redistricting Commission. The new maps would be used in any election through 2030, including 2026, 2028, and 2030. I would like to repeat that it is a temporary law. After the 2030 census, the commission would return to drawing the district lines and using the rules set out by law. Prop 50 retains California's Citizens Redistricting Commission and supports the use of fair, nonpartisan redistricting commissions nationwide. Note that all other maps for the Senate, for the state and Senate districts, assembly districts, etc., would not be replaced. Only the ones that are the congressional districts.
So in addition, Prop 50 would change the percentage of registered Republicans and Democrats in 10 of the 50 districts in California, so that Democrats would have an advantage in 5 districts currently represented by Republicans, and more Democrats would be pulled into 5 swing districts that are currently represented by Democrats. Carmen?
The maps shown from
No,
the
not maps, fiscal effects, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. You did the 2, right? So we're down. I don't have numbers. Is this 20?
No, it's 16. So it's the fiscal effects. Oh, you may not have the reordered script.
Oh,
So do you want me to?
fiscal effects of Prop 50 passes. There would be one-time cost to the counties of up to to a few $1 million to update the election materials. One-time cost to the state would be $200,000. And the numbers do not include the cost of the special election, which is estimated to be over $200 million.
Okay, so here are some slides that give you an idea of what's going to happen, why this redistricting was done. If you look at and all these maps come from Ballotpedia, and then the data in the next 4 slides comes also from another source. But this shows you on the left the map of the current districts, and it shows you how those districts voted in the 2024 election. So the ones that are bright blue are districts that are from 10 to 100% Democratic voters. Interesting to know how these districts were drawn by the independent commission as well as the legislators. So these maps on the left were drawn by the independent commission. The districts that are light blue, and there are a couple, one in the center there and a couple down in Southern California, lean Democrat. The ones that are deep rose in color are from 10 to 100% Republican voters, and the light pink lean Republican. The map on the right shows how the votes would have fallen if the new districts, the ones that have been drawn by the legislature and are part of Proposition 50, how the votes would have fallen if those districts had been in effect. And you can see how things have been redrawn to favor the Democrats. So most districts have experienced some change in their district lines, but not all have changed very much in terms of their having seen a change in the representation of the parties within their districts. Oakland's district, for example, won't change. So Carmen, if you'd like to talk about these two.
Right. The following 4 slides compare the current and proposed congressional districts in Alameda and Contra Costa County. The maps shown are all from the LA Times, and the data is from the statewide database, the official redistricting database for the state of California, and Ballotpedia.org. These first 2 maps compare Congressional District 12, Northern and Central Alameda counties. The proposed map of the District 12 is essentially identical to the existing district. Next.
So these 2 maps compare Congressional District 8, which is Western and Northern Contra Costa County and some of Solano County. Though the population is the same in the old district and the proposed, the demographics of the 2 versions of the district are slightly different, with about 5,000 more district citizens of voting age in the new district on the right, a smaller population of Latino, non-Latino Black, and non-Latino Asian voters, and more non-Latino white voters, resulting in a small advantage to the Republican Party.
These maps compare Congressional District 10, Central and Eastern Contra Costa County. Though the population is the same in both, the old district and the proposed, the demographics of the 2 versions are different, with about 3,000 more citizens of voting age in the new version, smaller populations of non-Latino Black and non-Latino Asian voters, and larger population of Latino and non-Latino white voters, resulting in a very small advantage to the Republican Party.
These 2 maps compare Congressional District 14, Southern and Eastern Alameda County, though the population, again, is the same in both the current district and the proposed, and that's required by federal legislation. The demographics of the versions are different, with about 10,000 fewer citizens of voting age in the new version, fewer Latino, non-Latino Black, and non-Latino white voters, and more non-Latino Asian voters, resulting again in a very slight advantage to the Republican Party.
As we move now into the section of presentation about the pros and cons of Prop 50, Here are some important points to understand. Arguments listed on the slides come from supporters and opponents as published in the official information guide. We cannot vouch for their accuracy. They do not represent the League's viewpoint. They reflect the supporters and the opponents' opinions and may not be based on facts. Next.
So here's a list of some of the supporters of Proposition 50. Barack Obama, Gavin Newsom, the California Professional Firefighters, the California Federation of Teachers, SEIU, California State Council, Indivisible California, Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California, and the California Democratic Party. Not an exhaustive list. And here are the arguments that they say in favor of Proposition. This is why they say you should vote for Proposition 50. It is a temporary emergency plan to stop attempts unfairly to rig the 2026 election. Prop 50 requires voter approval. It creates fair maps that reflect California's diverse communities. It keeps California a leader in fair elections, and it strengthens our national democracy, countering an unfair advantage to conservatives in the US.
The opponents are Charles Munger Jr., Arnold Schwarzenegger, Kevin McCarthy, California Business Roundtable, Congressional Leadership Fund, which is a PAC, and Republican Party of California. Their opinion is that it's a power grab by the politicians, undoing fair election reforms and returning to gerrymandering. It replaces an open public process with secretive political backroom. Or, I'm sorry, I'm not reading the slide, I'm reading notes. It hurts fair representation by dividing neighborhoods and weakening minority voices. It lets politicians control district lines for years and could open the door to permanent control, though it states quite clearly that it is not a permanent choice. Cost taxpayers $200 million when the state is cutting funding to important programs because of budget problems. Next.
Okay, so this gives you some idea of the contributions that have been raised for those who are in favor of the Proposition 50. And the information that's on the slide was current as of September 22nd. But there's some more current information that for the whole election, for both pro and con, $208 million, $208,137,962 is the total that's been raised. And there's been a total of 147,768 contributions. Those who support the Proposition 50 have contributed $129,288,730 in 147,501 contributions. And there are some additional independent expenditures as of October 10th. And the data that I just gave you of the additional dollars raised was from October 9th. And then the independent expenditures as of October 10th in support of Prop 50 amount to $14,475,453 from 109 independent expenditure committees. Carmen.
Okay. So on this slide, you can see what was collected up until September 22nd. After, I guess it was after the 9th, they collected another $78,849,225 by 267 more contributions. The independent expenditures as of October 10th is $1,474,193 from 56 opposers.
Okay, and so it's a total raised against of 78,849,225, not addition to the 35,000. It's a total of 78
I'm
million.
sorry, you're right.
That's
You're
okay.
right, Bonnie. I'm sorry.
All righty. So to conclude, when you decide how to vote on Prop 50, if you vote yes, a yes vote supports amending the California Constitution to allow the state temporarily to use new congressional maps for 2026 through 2030. So for each congressional election till 2030. Carmen.
A no vote opposes the constitutional amendment and keeps the existing congressional maps in place for use in congressional elections from 2026 through 2030.
So this slide just gives you some important dates to remember for this particular election. Most of us have probably already received our mail-in ballots. They started being mailing on the 6th of October. If you are not registered, you still have a few days to do that and get a mail-in ballot. Starting October 21st, you can do conditional same-day voter registration, and that's available up through the election day, November 4th. And so that means if you have not registered and you don't get it done by the 20th of October, you can go to the Registrar of Voters office now and register and vote. And then in a week or so, voter centers or voting centers will open where you could go and register and cast your vote. And then on election day, other voting centers will be open. Actually, they'll be open the weekend before and on November 4th, and you could go there and register and vote. So if you use your mail-in ballots, remember that the post office was working a little more slowly these days, and so you want to be sure that your ballot is postmarked by November 4th. In order to do that, please put your ballot in the mail by October 31st, particularly if you live in a rural area. If you're a certain number of miles away from major hubs where things are postmarked, if you wait until November 4th to take your thing to the post office, it may not get postmarked on November 4th. It may not get postmarked until the day after when they finally get the ballots to these regional mail centers. And so that's why we're encouraging you to mail your ballots early by the 31st. Oh, the voting centers that I've been talking about, many locations are at libraries and recreation centers or high schools, places where there's good parking and lots of room for a lot of voting booths. And Carmen, you get the last one.
Thank you. Thank you for being a voter, and thank you for hearing our information. The League of Women Voters website will give you all of the information you need. It's a wonderful resource. So think of using that if you have any questions or you want more information. You can see your ballot acvote.org will tell you exactly what happens to your ballot. I mailed mine in the post office last week, and I got notification from the U.S. Postal Service that they were sending the ballot over to the voter area. Finally, do consider becoming a member. We offer a sliding fee scale to support all budgets, and most importantly, it is a validation for all the work we do. Thank you.
So
Thank
that's
you.
the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for that in-depth overview of Proposition 50. Really appreciated you taking the extra step and showing us the maps of Alameda County and Contra Costa County and how they would change. So I think all of that information is very important. I do want to go over to questions. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll get to them. The first question that we have Bonnie and Carmen is from Jeff, who works with us here. And he says, I'm curious whether there's any likelihood that this could result in any other redistricting beyond the current proposal. So I'm wondering if you have anything to share about that.
So I guess I would ask him for clarification about what he means by further redistricting.
Jeff?
Um, yeah, like, is there a possibility that there would be another redistricting maps drawn for the 2028 elections, for example, before this measure expires?
They could
So that would
do that
involve another constitutional amendment.
amendment. Yeah, you'd
And I
have-
think it's unlikely that somebody would want to do that. That would mean another special election, or it would mean an additional measure on that 2028 ballot if they wanted to do that.
So I guess that's why I'm raising the question. I thought that this measure expires in 2030. So does it
Right.
only authorize one set of redistricting, or does it permit another set of redistricting maps to be drawn sometime between now and 2030?
It isn't written for redistricting to set policy on redistricting maps. It's to do it for this particular set of elections. For the Bonnie, maybe you have a better way of phrasing that.
No, I think that what you've said is true, and I think that my answer is still relevant. This what is written in Proposition 50 doesn't say that no other redistricting would be possible. It just says that this constitutional amendment puts these district lines in place for these coming elections. But if somebody wanted to amend the Constitution further to override this, I think that would be legally possible. I'm not positive about that.
Okay.
If you,
But without another amendment, all this is saying is this set of districts applies to both the 2026 and 2028
and
congressional
2030,
elections.
yeah,
And to 2030. Okay.
yeah,
Right.
and says that then the Independent Redistricting Commission will come back into being, and they probably will have to select all new commissioners. I think they do it each time they're going to be a commission, that they open the period of time for applications. And as I said, it's a very, or as Carmen said, it's a very convoluted process that they do to try to get a commission that is representative and diverse, and people that are conscious of understanding the laws and the rules for drawing the new lines.
Thank you. I think that covers the question.
Okay.
Thank you for explaining it. The next question we have is from William Goodwin, who says, I'm curious about the differences in the messaging explaining Prop 50. Could you elaborate a little bit more, William, about
I think I may have the answer, probably
okay.
because it's complicated. But I think from what I've seen in the messaging, those against it basically say it's an assault on voting rights, and excuse me, and those for it is basically just saying get Trump. This is a way to tick Trump off. And I don't know if that's going to be enough, because the people I've talked to don't really understand, what Prop 50 is about, that it is basically redistricting. So anyway, it was
Right.
just
So I think
curious.
that it's really instructive again then to look at who's supporting the pro and the con, because that tells the story, I think.
Yep, that's yeah. One of the things that we always do here at EBHO, when we do voter education is, yeah, definitely follow the money and follow like what who is on the pro and who's on the cons of any ballot measure, because I think sometimes as voters we don't have the time or maybe the knowledge of going through every single part of the measure. But sometimes we know who we like and who we don't like, or who we ideologically are connected to, and that could be sort of like a little bit of a shortcut about what we support and what we don't support. Another question that we have here, it's about why the League of Women Voters decided to stay impartial with Proposition 50. One of my colleagues did put in a statement about you all, the reasoning why you all didn't take a position, but I'm wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more about how about that decision, if it's appropriate.
So when the league is looking at a measure and trying to decide whether to take a position on that measure, it helps to understand a little bit about how the league develops its positions on things. We do a lot of studies on issues, and our membership determines what our positions are. And so if we have positions that favor a measure, we can consider supporting the measure. If we have positions that deal with issues that the opponents care about, then we can oppose a measure. If we have positions that are on both sides of the measure, then we remain neutral. And there was that certainly was involved in the league's board, the League of Women Voters of California's decision to remain neutral on this. Just quick background on how the league is organized. Local leagues are the basis of the league. And our jurisdiction for taking advocacy, for supporting or opposing legislation, determines where we can act. For the League of Women Voters, our jurisdiction is Oakland. In Alameda County, there are 6 local leagues. And so the League of Women Voters of Alameda acts on Alameda propositions, the League of Women Voters of Piedmont ballot measures, the Eden Area League, Castro Valley, Hayward, San Leandro, Fremont, Newark Union City, South County, Berkeley, Albany, Emeryville, North County, and so on and so forth. When it's a state measure, only the state league makes the decision about whether we're going to support or oppose it. And when the state league says what we're going to do, the local leagues follow that or remain silent. So there were contradictory positions that the league had developed in its studies over the years. And so we could neither support nor oppose it. We had very good reasons for opposing it, very good reasons for supporting it.
Yeah, thank you so much for elaborating on the structure and the reason why you all decided to remain impartial. I think it's yeah, I think it's very good that you know you were able to clarify the reasoning behind that. We have another question about what was the last day to register to vote again? I have the answer, but I want you up.
Well, what the registrar says is that if you want to be able to register to vote and get a mail-in ballot, you need to have done it by the 20th of October. And you can do it online, both at the ROV's website, acvote.org, but also on the California Secretary of State's website. So you can register from home. There are paper registration forms still in most post offices and libraries. So if you like paper, you can use that, or you can ask the registrar to mail one to you, but you'll be cutting it pretty close at this juncture to be able to use the paper ballot that you'd have to get mailed to you. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. Is that a sufficient answer, Ms. Irma?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I have a question.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, your presentation was beautiful, and I'd like to have a copy of your presentation.
Yeah, we can make sure that
I appreciate
we can
it,
get
so
you
I
a
can
copy.
share with others. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh shoot, I think I forgot my question. Um, um, Oh yeah, no, I think it completely slipped my mind. Okay, so I guess there I have a question about sort of so when these lines were redrawn, I think I had heard some conversation from some representatives, I think probably somewhere in Contra Costa. I don't remember who it was, but sort of like had some concerns around how these lines were developed in the legislature and in the ballot language. Can you just talk a little bit more about sort of like who did Gavin Newsom just independently draw these lines? Or if you could elaborate a little bit more about how they came about?
Okay, Carmen, do you have any insight on that, or do you want me to talk a little bit?
I read it, but I didn't memorize it, Bonnie. So if you've got it on your fingertips, go ahead.
Okay, so when the idea of redistricting was suggested, it was certain legislators and Gavin Newsom who thought this would be a great idea. And there are people who know how to use the data to slice and dice. And so it was done by people who have had experience in redistricting. As I say, before 2008, the legislature always did the redistricting. And you can get from the registrar of voters in each county the number of voters and the party of the where the different people live, who, you know, of which party live in those counties. And then you just manipulate the data. And the only rule that applies federally is that the districts need to be equal population.
And
That's why you get these
Right.
really, I beg your pardon?
and they can't discriminate against race. Those are the only two that the
Well,
Supreme Court.
and until the Supreme Court gets finished with things, we don't know where they're going to come down on things
Right.
like that. But yeah, you're right. So yes, so it can't discriminate racially, and it has to be equal. And other than that, you can just draw the lines any way you want. And that's how gerrymander got its name, that way back in the 19th century when redistricting was done, and one of the redistricts ended up looking like a salamander, and the redistricting had been done by somebody whose name was Jerry. They called it a
Oh,
gerrymander.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, we have another question from Anne, and they say, just curious if you happen to know, has there been any significant public pushback from the folks living in particular districts that are more impacted by this redistricting vote? Are there any public claims from districts that functions would be disrupted?
Okay, and I have not followed the districts in Southern California and in far Northern California are deeply affected. And my role as a member of the Speakers Bureau is one of many things, many hats that I wear, and I have not been paying a whole lot of attention. I know that the legislators who are affected, for example, Doug LaMalfa, who's one of the representatives from Northern California, has been in Congress for a long time, and his district has been redrawn, and there are real questions about whether or not he would be elected again. And so, but I don't know whether there have been any officials, whether any suits have been brought against the legislature for the district lines that have been drawn. And it's a wonderful question. I think if you're interested, do some research. I don't have an answer for you, and I don't know whether Carmen has any answers in that regard. There are also a couple of districts in Southern California that are deeply affected. And the person actually that put together the basis of our slideshow was from San Diego, and had a couple slides in the presentation that showed how greatly some of the Southern California districts were going to be affected. And I must confess, I took those out of the slideshow and put in the ones about our counties, because I thought those were the ones that were relevant for us. But it's a very interesting question to ask.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I've heard in the, I think it was KQED, about just, I think it's talking about rural voters in particular, not having equal representation. It's something to consider. And then do you all have a contact for League of Women Voters in the Tri-Valley area. One of our members here is asking about if you all have anyone that maybe could do a presentation for Dublin, Pleasanton, or Livermore.
So there used to be a Livermore Valley area League of Women Voters, but unfortunately it is disbanded several years ago. And I think that people in the Eden Area League are taking requests from the Tri-Valley, but also the Diablo Valley League may also take requests for such presentations. And so League of Women Voters of the Eden area, League of Women Voters of Diablo Valley would be the two ones to look into, see if they would do a presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Let's see, and we have Miss Shelley. You have your hand raised. Would you like to go ahead?
Yes. Hi, hello. Thank you so much first for hosting this League of Women Voters. I am so appreciative because this puts it in a very calm and gentle perspective to weigh and measure. And this is easy. We need this. And I am a former chairperson of the Presbyterian Women's League back home, back east in New York. So I have always had an affinity as an advocate and always, as a parent leader, that we can find a space that is a lot gentler, especially when it comes to politics and learning, and giving us the opportunity to, not have to be tense. Because right now we are in some very tense times. So let me just give you guys your flowers and your kudos. And yes, consider yourselves with a new member, because this was such a relief to be able to learn and not feel, the tension that usually surrounds politics. Now, as a parent and as a parent leader, I just wanted to ask, how can we collaborate with League of Women Voters so that we make sure we have a healthy turnout for the elections for November 2025, right? For our new elections, and a lot of effort is being put into this work for Prop 50 to be either passed through or not. So I'm just from an advocate and community leader perspective, a school leader perspective, how can we collaborate with League of Women Voters to push this turnout, to get folks to feel what I feel right now? Hey, this is okay. It's somewhere we will go arm in arm if we need to. How can we do that? Because I want to support it, I want to market it, I want to promote it, and I want to be a part of it.
Well, we still are the education portion, so we're not promoting either side, but but we do say we want everyone to vote and make their voice heard. So the way you do that is through supporting voter registration. And there are, where are you?
I'm in Oakland, and I am a
Okay.
part of the Oakland Unified School District, and
Great.
so we are right here.
Well, they're working in your schools to get high school students registered. And I'm not sure, Bonnie, if they've done an active, we don't go out very often in Oakland to just set up a registration event because there are so many registered people. So through churches and through, through organizations, we can go and help that organization do some registration for their events. And so you'd get in touch. Bonnie?
So one other quick addition, because I think that Angelina wants to do the end of her presentation, is just that there's something called the California Easy Voter Guide. And it's wonderfully clear, and libraries have ordered copies of it. It's also available online. So if you go to easyvoterguide.org or maybe easyvoter.org, I'm not sure which it is, but you'll be able to see that. The Oakland League had a lot of copies, and we were making copies available to organizations. So one of the organizations that you belong to may have requested from the League to get copies of the Easy Voter Guide. send an email to the league. Go to the league's website, lwvoakland.org. Send us an email and we'll try to get information to you.
Yeah, and we have a few copies at our office. So if you want a printed copy, we have them in a few languages. Come down to our office and we'll give you one.
Where are you guys?
Okay. We are in on 9th Street. Send us an email and we can give you or if someone from our office can drop down our address, or you could just email us and we can coordinate a time for you to pick them up. All right. Thank you so much. Again, Carmen and Bonnie, really great presentation. I'm going to spend the last 1 minute just with some announcements, letting you all know that our November Lunch and Learn is canceled, but it doesn't mean that you won't get to hang out with us in November, because that is our annual membership meeting and celebration. Please do join us. It's going to be on Wednesday, November 12th, and 5:30 to 7:30. Attendance is limited to and free for all dues paying EBHO members. Don't miss out. It's a great party and also a meeting. And join. So please do join and renew your membership today. You can go to ebho.org/membership to join us. And that's it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all for taking the time and being with us today. And we will have